The original, or even the later remake known as Part 1, was revolutionary for its depiction of the player feeling unsafe throughout the entire gaming experience. Developers were always looking for new ways to keep that helplessness throughout the entire world of The Last of Us. But the speculative scenario is this: that time when Ellie was attacked at the workbench in The Last of Us Part 2. Naughty Dog envisioned the entire scope of the original Last of Us game to be absolutely ruthless with its said depiction of violence by people to each other, on the scope of helplessness that society was no more after it collapsed, on the fear of knowing that there was absolutely nowhere that the player could be safe or secure. Neil Druckmann in particular was adamant about having the game to be as realistic and depressing as possible. This was one of the reasons why the original Last of Us was so legendary and controversial when it was released. Due to the constant uncertainties that the player experienced through the said playthrough of the original Last of Us, on where danger was literally everywhere, the consensus became that workbenches, which were throughout the various stages or areas where players progressed through, became quote-unquote safe areas where players could modify weapons and view statistics related to the said equipment, but to more importantly give a sense of relief to the constant uncertainties that The Last of Us became known for. From information now known, developers at Naughty Dog later heard feedback from players and read discussions about how workbenches gave a sense of protection and even security within the game. While receptions to the original game were monumental, the workbenches became something that the developers became perplexed with. Naughty Dog knew that the workbench was a temporary reprieve, but wanted to do something to keep players frightened during their playthrough. The unexpected attack while using that particular workbench was one of the most shocking and frightening events from the game. Further details had it that according to interviews, there was no real technical pause menu where players had a moment to themselves. Combined with the specific detail that the workbench attack doesn't happen until a decent amount of time into the game's playthrough, all of these said details, so that players developed a false sense of security once again using the workbenches. And once the incident occurred, it was something that no player had ever expected. Some critics commented at the time that the ambush at the workbench was underrated and only had a particular impact of such during the first experience.